Hi, my name is Anna Marie Green. This is my introduction video for the October 2023 cohort. Hi, my name is Anna Marie Green. Welcome to this transformational breathwork session. I am going to be your guide for this session, which I'm really excited about. I'm a clinical therapist, a professional intuitive, and I have studied breathwork. So I'm excited to guide you guys. But before we dive into the practical aspects of this journey and breathwork in general, I wanted to share a little bit about my personal journey and how the power of breath has profoundly impacted my life, because I want you to know that I've been where you were at. So I actually started integrating breath work and diving into breath work in early 2022. And I started off very slow. I was very hesitant. And it was one of those things where I was kind of like, oh yeah, okay, it's good for you. I push it off. But when I actually started to do it on a regular basis, do it weekly, do it monthly, have like little mini breath sessions that I would have on a daily basis, it really made such a difference, especially because at the time I was going through a really difficult spot. I was essentially not making any money and I had to move back in with my parents. I had just gone through a really bad breakup that had left me emotionally in shambles. And I was trying to get my business fully off of the ground, separate from working for clinics, and kind of because different clinics, it can be burnout central for therapists. So I was trying to move away from that and into full-time my business, which is integrating energy work and psychotherapy methods. So I was at a really difficult time in my life. I was a single mom, so I also was constantly stressed. Daycare was like, it was one of the biggest stressors, but the breath work was able to help me stabilize myself, was able to help me find clarity, was able to help me so that I didn't break down, so that I didn't give way to my depression and just stop functioning, so that I was able to make choices, even though they were uncomfortable, even though they were difficult. Like that, I did not want to move back home with my parents. And it was a really difficult time, but I got through it and I actually ended up way better on the other side. I'm no longer living with my parents. But the experience that I felt, especially when more recently, I started to do 90 breath work, it was so profound. I was releasing different traumas and mindsets and things that from my body that I had never experienced before. And I hadn't felt that type of excitement about a healing modality since I started studying energy work, and before that, it was before I started studying psychology. So I knew that it was going to be something that I wanted to bring to people, and I'm so excited to bring it to you today. It's really going to allow you to release any pent-up emotions, old wounds, traumas. For me, it even brings up traumas that weren't even experienced by me, but they were actually in my lineage. So like my mom and my grandmother, it doesn't happen every time, but sometimes that is what's being revealed to me, and it's being released from my body, because we hold generational trauma, especially as women. We hold it in our hips and our lower region. And so when we're doing this breath work and we're releasing things from the physical body, and like pretty much anything goes, everything goes. So it's great. The experience truly felt like magic for me, and I am excited, and I hope it feels that way for you. And I'm so excited to be able to coach you through this. It has been so much fun to add this to my toolbox for you guys. So thank you for saying yes to being here. My intention for today's session is pretty simple. My goal and my intention is that I want to empower you to tap into the potential that is on the other side, to help you get unblocked and release whatever is holding you back, so that you can truly experience the things that you want in life, and not just to like experience them, but be present with them. Because a lot of times when we're so stuck in traumas and we're so stuck in the past, things might be happening to us. We might be creating things, but we're not able to actually enjoy it. We're not able to be present for it. So that is what I want you to get out of this session. For you to get out of your own head and into your body and let your body release that trauma. It's so, so important. It's one of the 3 areas of healing that I talk about on a regular basis: the cognitive, the physical, and the energetic. So, one of the most powerful aspects of breathwork is its capacity for somatic healing and trauma release. I know that those are very trendy words right now, but it's 100% true with this. Our bodies hold on to memories, emotions, and past experiences, which we've talked about. We hold it in the physical body, we hold it in the subconscious mind. We hold it energetically because energy is the foundation of everything. If we're holding on to something physically and we're holding on to something cognitively, a lot of times we're still holding on to something energetically as well. And these things get locked up in our muscles and our tissues, and it manifests in our lives as tension and anxiety and overwhelm and depression and also physical illness. I have seen and talked to people so many times who we've worked together and they're working through and processing these past emotions, these unprocessed emotions and traumas, and their physical health improves on the other end of it. And it's even like amplified when we add in breath work. So this can be great. What most people don't understand about trauma is it's generational. And so as I said earlier, science has proven it. I know we talk about it, you might hear about it like in the energy realm of the industry, but there's actually been scientific studies that has proven that trauma is passed down as many as 14 generations. So if you experience the trauma and it goes unprocessed, unhealed, your 14 generations later will still respond to that trauma as a stimuli. So I believe the study was done on mice, and that the mice still had a reaction, still had a trauma response 14 generations later, even though those mice didn't experience it. So that is something, like, when I first heard that, I was like mind blowing, because I love, like, it's one thing to know something on an energetic level, but then when science is like, yeah, we find that too, I'm always like, yay. So that's something to think about. The traumas, the things that you're experiencing, it doesn't mean it's your own. Like, when I talk about, I see traumas that or I feel the traumas that don't belong to me being released, that's 100% real. So it might not be that your specific experiences are causing your depression or causing your anxiety. More than likely, it was passed down to you as well. And I do want to preface this that you might not see anything when you're in the breathwork session. I think part of the reason I see it is because that's just one of my clairs that's strongest, and I've been doing it for a while. So, and it's including if you're stressed about that, don't worry, you can always set the intention not to see anything, but you'll feel it being released. It is going to be something that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, but you're carrying all of that in your DNA, in your cellular memory, in your energy. And so you're operating and creating a life from those traumas, from that information that's been passed down to you. And looked at through this lens, it's easy to start to connect the dots of why our world is also going through such a hard time and a lot of drama at the moment. It's generations of unprocessed trauma at scale, right? And inner child wounding at scale. It's all of that. Hurt people, as I tell my 6-year-old. But there's good news. Today, each of you have an opportunity to break through these old inherited patterns, these old traumas. By leveraging our breath, we can unlock that trapped energy, allowing it to surface, be acknowledged, and ultimately to be released. So it's no longer yours, taking it off your plate. And this isn't just for us. This isn't just for you. It's for future generations. It's for the life that you deserve to live, that you can, but when you're living it, your family gets the upgrade. It's for just the whole collective. But I especially want you to do this for you, because you deserve to show up for yourself. You deserve the greatness that's on the other side. You deserve to feel present. You deserve to feel safe. You deserve to feel loved. You deserve more than what was passed down to you. So once you move beyond the limitations imposed by these past traumas and the emotional baggage, there's real freedom. The tricky part is that it's going to take work. This breath session is not necessarily going to, it's not going to feel easy necessarily. Um, I have done tons of breathwork journeys, and each and every time my ego is like, we're hungry. We're hungry. We'd like to go, like, oh, we don't really have time for this. And I sit down and I'm in the first, especially in the first couple songs, I'm like, oh, when is this going to be over? Like there's the ego thoughts come up of when is this going to be over? But I take it one song at a time. I'm like, let's just get through this next song. Well, we're already like into this next song. We might as well finish it. And that's how I keep myself going. But it is going to take work. You're going to be leaning into some real discomfort. But I promise you, on the other side of that struggle, it's going to be worth it. After all the deep breathing, after all that you've experienced, deep breathing for 45 minutes, it's the best way to show up for yourself. If you can get through all the other challenges in your life, you can get through this. There are going to be discomforts, and your body is going to feel lots of different things. Your ego is going to try to convince you to stop, to not show up. Literally anything. It will try anything and everything. So you need to decide right now that when things start to get uncomfortable, you're going to lean in and not out. That you're ready to commit to yourself, that you're ready to commit to whatever it is that you want on the other side of this. Okay, good. So here's what's going to happen. You may decide to lean in and go deep. But we've all got these blocks that live inside of our bodies. These blocks present themselves as shallow breathing. And this doesn't happen with everyone, but it can happen with you. It happened with me in the beginning. If you find yourself breathing shallow, this is going to be much more like a meditation. And you'll still receive benefit from it because, I'm also integrating the energy healings with it. But it's going to be a meditation, or at best. So if you feel that happening, that means you need to flex your will and override the shallow breath by coming back to a nice, deep, full breath. And you might need to do this by like consciously thinking about it, but that's okay. Just because you're consciously thinking about the breath doesn't mean that it's not working. I actually find that it helps, because then I'm not trying to like force myself to see anything or feel anything. It's just I'm focusing on the breath. It gives my ego something to focus on so that my subconscious and the rest of my body can do and release whatever it needs to. And I just want to emphasize that today is not about speed. It is all about the depth of your breath. Even a nice, slow, deep, full breath is enough to activate your system and unlock a powerful experience. You want to focus on breathing really deeply into your body, letting the air come into every cell, every crevice, and releasing. So just focus on taking the full breaths from start to finish. And just remember one very important thing. You are safe. Breathwork has been deemed a safe practice by the scientific community, as long as you are fit for practice. And we're going to go over some of those conditions in a minute. Then the worst thing that can happen is you faint, which is very, very rare. Even the people that I've talked to in my certification program, very rare. And you're already on the floor. So it takes the danger out of it. And I have never passed out. And I've never passed out during a breathwork session from the time that I've started them. And I actually have one of the conditions where they advise that maybe to not do it. But I can get into that in a little bit. So don't worry. Like I mentioned, it's very rare. Just listen to your body. The key here is to listen to your body. Like I, for myself, know when I need to like maybe take a step, do a reset breath, and then go back in. That's okay. There's no shame in doing that, especially if you're listening to your body and your body is like, we can't take any more. It's really important. This entire session is you connecting to your body. It's not to try to disconnect and ignore if your body is telling you need something else or you need to slow down. Just make sure to keep coming back to that sense of safety in your body. And I'll be reminding you throughout, don't push yourself past your limits. There's not, you'll be fine. You'll be okay. And let me know if there are any issues. Okay. and then another very important thing to talk about is that you are the captain of your own experience. You are in charge of your experience today. You're in full control. You have the ability to go deeper if you want by breathing deeper or slowing it down, by taking we are going to call a reset breath, which is essentially in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can take it at whatever speed you feel comfortable with. If you can do deep, faster breaths, awesome. If you can't, that's okay. You really have to see what's best for you, and you should be listening to your body the entire time. If you start to feel like it's too much at any point, simply close your mouth and start breathing through your nose. This is going to reset your system back to a parasympathetic rest and relaxed state in just a few breaths. And then when you feel ready to come back in, you can. You're in full control. Just remember that. This experience is completely yours. I'm here to encourage and guide, but you are in control of this. You are the main character of this journey. Okay, so let me walk you through a few elements of the experience so you can feel ready and safe no matter what comes up. So there's 3 different components to breath work: mental, physical, and emotional. Mental, physical, emotional aspect to breath work. So on the physical side, we are going to be activating all sorts of energy centers in the body. We're overloading the body with oxygen and off-gassing all of our carbon dioxide. DMT is being released into the brain, as well as dopamine and serotonin, all of the like feel-good, yummy chemicals that we love to feel. You know, that's why we love like exercise and all these different things. And this is going to activate all the energy centers in the body. So, you know, we're talking about the mental, physical, and emotional levels of breath work, but the energetic level is also something, but it touches each of these 3 categories. So, you know, our entire body is getting involved with the breath work, and it's activating things on an energetic level as well, because breath is very, very powerful for expanding and it's expanding and healing anything that we have energetically going on that's stored in the body, that's stored in the mind, all that kind of stuff. The way the body releases trauma physically is through sensation. So you're going to feel lots of different sensations. Some of these sensations can feel nice and pleasant. Others can be quite uncomfortable. I know for myself, sometimes I'll get like a little like sharp pain somewhere, but I breathe into it and it's usually gone in the next breath. There's a whole spectrum that can happen. It's very individual. On the extreme end of this phenomenon, there is something called tetany, which is also called like lobster claws. So and this can happen. This essentially your hands lock up and you're not able to move your hands. It only happens during breath work. It can be quite uncomfortable. Just know that it happens and it's completely safe. It's just energy that's being released from the body and happens when you off-gas too much CO2, carbon dioxide, too quickly. If it becomes super painful, then you can take some reset breaths and let your hands reset before you come back in, whenever you're ready. I've also found that sometimes different parts of my legs might like experience a similar phenomenon where they like lock up a little bit, different parts of your body, and really that's like just trauma being released. I store a lot of trauma in my hips and my legs, so that's why I feel a lot of the stuff in my lower body, while some people feel it a lot in the upper body, in the neck and the shoulders, but mine is much lower. But it's all normal. There's a wide variety of sensations that can happen in your body while you're going through this. And remember, if anything becomes painful or super uncomfortable, stop. Then there's the mental side. It's pretty simple, just like meditation. If your mind wanders, just bring it back to the breath. Bring it back to your body, bring it back to your breath. And like I said in the beginning, especially when your ego is like the most uncomfortable, it's like for anybody who runs out there, when you first start the first mile or 2 of running, your body's like, are we done? Do we have to do this? Why can't we just walk? Or why can't we just go home in the warmth? I always tell people, when you run, the first like 1 to 3 miles, you always want to quit. You never want to be running. But once you get through that, it's like, oh, it's worth it. But just bring your mind back. So just say like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this next song. I'm going to do this next song. And then all of a sudden you're like almost done. And then finally, there's the emotional side. The most important aspect of this process, this years and generations of pent up, unprocessed, stuck emotions locked in the body. All the emotions we didn't feel at the time when when we were experiencing it, all the emotions that we didn't have the permission to feel when we were experiencing them. It doesn't things emotions that don't even have to make sense. They are all leaving and being released. And you'll cathartically feel that emotional experience as well as you're releasing. So that's why sometimes people are sobbing throughout an entire breathwork session. That's why some people are like experience some type of anger. Like there's just so much that can come up. And so just be prepared that any type of emotion can come up. Don't judge yourself. Don't try to create a narrative around it. Just let it be and focus on your breath. That's what's going to help the most, is going back to just focusing on that breath pattern. Focusing on that breath pattern so that you can let your subconscious mind, you can let your body release whatever the emotions that are coming up. If you remember certain things or certain things come up, that's okay. Just let it go with the breath. If you feel like you need to cry, then cry. If you need to move your body, just take notice of what's around you so you don't hurt yourself. Whatever your body needs to do, let it go of all that energy. Just let it be. On the other side of a deep cry is a lot of healing. So just lean into whatever comes up. I know for myself, during a lot of breathwork sessions, especially as I'm becoming a breath coach, so much trauma is being released through the body through shaking. So I'll be on the ground, like I do my breathwork sessions on the ground, and different parts of my body are just all of a sudden like shaking. I guess you could consider like they're not convulsing, but sometimes it feels that way, and I don't let myself think about it too much. I just let my body move in whatever way it needs to move, and I focus on my breath. I focus on breathing slower, breathing deeper, or if I feel like I need to, I'll maybe speed it up a little bit. My body also gets ridiculously cold. So some people, they sweat a lot, they get really hot. My body gets so cold, I'm freezing. Like everything is like, oh my gosh, I need 3 jackets. So that's something that's also normal. Just remember, let your body do whatever it needs to do. Just be safe about it. Okay, we're almost there. So the contradictions. So there's a couple conditions that if you have these or have had them in the past, just to be aware of, and that this particular breath pattern might not be for you, and that breath work might not necessarily be safe for you. So the first is cardiovascular related health issues, or low or high blood pressure, hypertension. Nobody has those. Okay, good. Okay, and then anyone who is pregnant. No? Okay. Awesome. Yeah, pregnancy, you don't want to be doing active breath work during pregnancy because it could induce early labor, and I wouldn't want that for me. I wouldn't want that for anyone. Okay, asthma. None? Okay, wonderful. History of epilepsy or seizures? No? Okay. And I will say for myself, I actually have epilepsy. I've had it since I was 4. It's just a cautionary thing. Now, my epilepsy is different than what people might think. I don't have clonic-tonic seizures. I have absence seizures, which is essentially, it's a very tiny one. Most people don't even realize if I've had a seizure. And so, not that it's necessarily safer, but I feel a lot better because I've never had one of the extreme grand mal or clonic-tonic seizures. So I will say that, and I always tell people, I was like, talk to your doctor. You'll know what your limits are. So that's where I wanted to talk about, I'm somebody who has epilepsy, and I actually find breathwork to be very helpful for me, but I would say that most of the time I am an outlier of a lot of different things that have to do with epilepsy. So, and then anyone who just got out of recent surgery. Okay, good. No, nobody there. And anyone on heavy duty medications? Okay. And anyone diagnosed with like a severe mental health disorders such as schizophrenia, bipolar, all that kind of stuff, or not all that kind of stuff, but those, especially those two, or psychosis. If you are somebody who struggles with psychosis on a regular basis, or you are on medication for any of these things, I would not advise breath work. I wouldn't advise breath work for these sessions. Okay, great. All right, then everyone is fit to practice. So let's go through the technique instructions and then we'll be ready to get started. So first thing you want to do is make sure you're lying flat. You can lay on a bed, a couch, whatever's comfortable, reclined chair, but you really want to make sure that you're flat. I actually always do it on the ground, especially like if you can get somewhere that's carpeted, awesome, or lay a yoga mat down. I always find that the ground is actually a little bit more helpful during these sessions. And then you're going to place one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and you'll watch me. We're going to do the breath together. So see if you can see me. Hold on. Okay. So this, and it's a 2-part breath. So you're going to breathe into the stomach and hips, and then into the chest, and then exhale. Again. And when you get faster, it'll kind of feel a little bit more like a wave. So, but you really want to make sure that you feel the expansion. Now, the reason that we breathe into I know a lot of people will say like breathe into the stomach, but I always like to say breathe into the hips because, especially for the women in the room, we hold so much trauma in our hips, generational, stuff from our own, societal, all that kind of stuff we store in our hips. And especially with all of the different things that impact our hormones, all that kind of stuff, breathing into the hips allows all of that to surface. On an energetic level, that's where our sacral is. Our sacral is our creation center. It is creativity. It is birth and motherhood, and it's like the connection to the root chakra, which is family, money, community, all that kind of stuff. But our sacral is really, really important. It is a super energetic space, and essentially it touches everything in our life because it's our creation center. It's how we create the things. It's how we birth things like businesses and projects, people, or children. So if we have a lot of blocks there, if we're carrying a lot of trauma there, we're creating something through those traumas, through those fears, through those limiting beliefs. So it's really, really important. And I've actually found from my own experience that breathing into the hips and stomach as the first breath is really, really helpful in releasing those things, and having even more of a powerful experience. So that's why, a little background on that. So just to kind of like now walk you through it verbally, the first breath is going to be a really big, full breath, and you're going to pull it down into the hips and belly, down into your lower diaphragm, and really make sure you can feel your stomach expand. And on a hips level, you'll feel it. You will feel it when you pull it down to your hips. It'll almost feel like, you're turning something on. I don't know how to describe it, but you'll feel it. And you'll also feel your belly expand as you're doing this. And this is how you know you're breathing deep enough. The second breath, you pull into the upper chest and you feel your chest flare out a bit. When I do it, I can feel like the top expand, but also when I'm lying down, a lot of times I can feel it in the back as well. The exhale is just to relax, release, and let go without force. So it shouldn't be it should just be almost like you're like sighing. You're like, okay, letting go. Once you get into it, it'll feel less like 2 parts and more like a wave, as I said. If for whatever reason, breathing down into your belly or into your upper chest feels challenging or uncomfortable, you can just focus on taking nice, big, full, deep breaths in and let the breath go wherever it wants to go. This is our time to reconnect with our bodies and see what our body needs. So if your body is telling you to go a specific way, okay, follow it. Allow it to lead you in this journey. We're going to be breathing in through our mouth today for all the different parts, which allows for more oxygen intake and faster activation. But if mouth breathing feels very, very uncomfortable and you're unable to be consistent with the breaths, you can always shift to breathing in through your nose. So you can always do it but if you can, I want you to try to do the mouth breathing. I know that your mind will be like, oh, my mouth is dry, oh, A, B, and C, we can't do it. Try to push through those things. Only if you are truly stopping and starting and unable to be inconsistent, or it's so uncomfortable, move to the nose. But you're going to get better results moving or doing this breath session through your mouth. And that's it. It's really simple. You don't overcomplicate the technique. I know that I have also done this where I'm like, am I sure I'm doing this right? Especially when you're doing it virtually. But don't overthink it. Focus on what you're feeling and just focus on the breath, and you'll be fine. If you overthink it, you're not gonna take as much away, because you're gonna be it'll cause you to be a little bit more inconsistent with your breath. Okay. Remember, the most important thing is taking nice, big, deep breaths on every inhale and relaxing and letting it fall away on every exhale. You can start nice and slow in the beginning, and the songs that were chosen are going to be to encourage you to take it slow in the beginning, but keep it deep. Everything is about the depth. The deeper you breathe, the deeper you're pulling things out, the more you're gonna process and release. And then as the music intensity builds, you can breathe a little bit faster and a little bit deeper. Just remember, you're in full control and you are safe. A very important element of this experience is we're going to be building up the energy to do a big breath hold, followed by a massive somatic release, which comes in the form of a scream. So if you are in a place where you're worried about people hearing you scream, just get a pillow and make sure it's close by, and you can scream into the pillow and you'll be fine. I live in an apartment, and I have people above me and I have people across the hall, and it's never been a problem. So I always use a pillow. This process is like an atomic bomb of energy being released from the body. It is awesome. I'll walk you through some visuals as this is happening, but also allow whatever visuals to come up. If you're not in an environment where you can scream, like I said, just get a pillow. That is the best thing that you can do. Just like in the movies when they're like frustrated and they scream at a pillow. You don't want to skip this part. Trust me, it is insanely powerful. So whether you scream out loud or into a pillow, lean into the scream when it comes. Lean in, let it all out. I always can see like doorways opening for me in front of me whenever I do the scream. And that's it. That's it, my friends. So go ahead, get yourselves ready. If you had headphones, I highly recommend, especially if you have over the head headphones, instead of just directly in the ear, because this will probably stay a little bit better, and you don't want to be fidgeting with stuff as you're getting into it. You don't want any distractions, but these really help, especially with like noise canceling. So if you have headphones, I advise you to use them. If you have an eye mask, you can use it to help tune out the environment. It just makes it more powerful. I can't tell you why, but whenever I use an eye mask, it just makes it so much better. And it's really going to help prevent any distractions. So go ahead and use the restroom now, get a drink of water, get yourself into position. We'll have 3 minutes to kind of get ourselves settled, and then go ahead and I will see you on the other side. All right. Yay.